What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and in today's episode I want to give you guys a brief rundown on what we've done to Loch Ness so far. You can see the ride height is perfect. Just kidding, it's not on the ground all the way, but I'm going to give you guys an update on what it's looking like so far, the most exciting part about this project, where it stands, and where do we go from here. Let's get right into it. All right, so obviously this car is completely built from scratch, in-house. So there's a lot of little nuances that we've been running into, and I want to start with a few of them that we kind of expected when putting a tube front bumper and a tube radiator support in it, which is mounting shit to the front. So if you guys follow us on Instagram, you saw the fog light mounts, but now there's a whole bunch of mounts, a lot of half-inch tubing going through here. And what we did is we added a bunch of mounts to the front here. That lower one is for the AC condenser, because yes, we're getting AC. This top bar and these 4 tabs here is for a oil cooler, so it sits right in the grill. And then we have our 2 fog light mounts that you guys might have seen if you followed on Instagram. So that's where the front end stands. That's allowing us to mount everything. We have to make 2 more, but they're going to be bolt on, because we might have to pull the bottom of these fenders in more in order to get them to clear the tire. So we're going to see how that shakes out. But right now we're getting the car ready. We got to load up on the trailer, bring it to PAB tomorrow, and they're going to repaint just these front bars so we can get final assembly done on the front of this thing. And then we can start moving into the engine bay, which is going to be our focus for the rest of this week. Fuel system, cooling system, radiator mounting. We got the brake situation all done. And then we're going to start kind of doing that and the interior, moving on to next. There's not much more than the fuel system, catch can mounting, coolant overflow mounting. We gotta still mess with the front sway bar, so that's coming up soon here because we're gonna have to figure that out. Maximum already kind of warned us that that's gonna be a pain in this project. So we definitely gotta focus on that soon. And then we'll start doing the interior and the little odds and ends. Those are gonna be the last items, aside from wiring, of course, which will come before that. But I wanna show you guys our proudest moments, or at least mine personally, is the exhaust on this thing. So let me get it up in the air, show you guys what we ended up doing to get the full 3-inch exhaust on this, all the way back to tailpipes, which I know I said I was gonna ask you guys, what do you guys thought, 3.5 or 3, but we kind of made the decision without you. So I don't think it looks oversized. I think it fits the car, and since it has an aftermarket Cobra rear bumper, it kind of has a little bit of a cutout for him to be in there. So it doesn't really look out of place at all. I actually think it's really, really good. The tips were a really big OCD part, making sure that they were as square as possible, level as possible, sat in the same spot, all that stuff. That took a lot of time. But what really took a lot of time was getting tailpipes through this rear suspension setup. Maximum says that there is no 3-inch options, so essentially it's kind of designed to work with like a factory 2.5-inch exhaust pipe, or not factory, but a 2.5-inch replacement exhaust setup. You can tell that they kind of bend the bars for the panhard bar to allow something to come over the axle there. But we didn't want that. We wanted 3-inch all the way back. We wanted to be different, and that's what we ended up doing. So let's take a look at what that ended up looking like. Steve learned how to weld this evening. He did a really, really nice one right there.
Yeah, that was easy.
That one's pretty mint. All right.
That was Phil.
Grab the lights, see it in all its glory. It's funny, Eric, the owner, last time he came to check it out, which it's been a little while since he's been here, but he says he's gonna have to get a lift in his garage just so he can admire the bottom. I don't think he quite realized how much work was gonna go into the bottom versus the top. Obviously there's a lot of work into the top too, but all the magic happens in the bottom of these things. All right, I'm gonna try my best to light this up enough for you guys to see what we did. As you can tell from this angle, we did get some more orange on this thing with the tank straps. And the idea here is that when you're behind the car, you can't really see any of the other orange, but the tank straps might clue you in to look for more. Because at the car shows, I really want people to crawl underneath it and see how badass it is under here. But let's just go straight into the exhaust system. So all of this was done with 3.5-inch stainless tubing from FDR, and it turned out so freaking awesome. Starting back here, you guys seen this already, but we had to modify the headers and the mid pipe to put a V-band in here instead, which allowed us to shorten this up, avoiding the trans cross member problem right here. So that worked out beautifully. We had to kick this out away from the panhard bar. This was really, really tight right here. So when we shortened it, corrected this issue as well. Put these on, mufflers, put a little section in here so we can put the V-bands right off the mufflers. You can see we have hangers in there now. They kind of pull back on the exhaust. Super solid, doesn't hit anything. But what we did run into is we needed a V-band above the axle in order to get this tailpipe out, which makes sense because you can't really rotate this whole apparatus out and back in, especially in 3.5 inch. So I think that might be our key to success, is having that V-band up there, because we didn't have to drop the axle or drop any of the panhard bar mounting. You guys can see it, it looks pretty awesome. Vibrant 3.5 inch tips. This is my favorite section right here. The clearance on the tire is mint. This is obviously the suspension at full droop, so once it goes down, it's a little bit better. This side's got more clearance right off the bat, but I tried to follow right in between the tank and the tire and kick it out to get us as straight as possible to the end. But I mean, the bottom of this car is just beautiful. I'm not sure if you guys saw that we put the adjustable roll bar in here. That was kind of the last thing. Everything up front is nut and bolted and tight. All right, so I just want to bring you guys a quick update on this car. The issues that we're running into next are going to be the front wheel and this fender situation, because even though we trimmed the hell out of it, still touches. So I'm not sure what we're going to do to correct that 100% yet. Obviously, I said we're going to paint all this. We need to get the correct rack hardware. This stuff is only temporary. Otherwise, the rack and the steering is pretty much good to go. We're still waiting on these lines to show up. Those are taking longer than expected. But I don't know what we're gonna do about this control arm problem. I think we're gonna have to get reverse offset control arms, and that's gonna be easiest. Otherwise, we're gonna have to like cut out like this whole freaking fender, like all the way down, so it's almost, it would only have like a 1/2 inch lip here. And I'm not sure if I want to do that or not. So that's to be determined. We got the fuel system routed out today. I know how we're gonna come off of here. Probably gonna have to stay above the exhaust over here and then kick it out to the frame rail in this location, follow the frame rail, and then the rest of it will be normal. We're just gonna do 8 feed, 8 return. So everything will be easy. Everything's gonna be 8s. Put a filter right here. Run it up, and we're gonna put the regulator in the engine bay somewhere. But there shouldn't be any major problems there. Got the emergency brake working. Oh, you guys haven't seen any of that stuff? So we have the, we actually managed to convert the factory style disc brake Foxbody emergency brake cable. I re-drilled and tapped the center of the Willwood emergency brake kit to work with that. So you guys can briefly see the emergency brake situation here. I re-drilled and tapped the Willwood brick. I used a 94-95 emergency brake cable here. So it's threaded, and then I used that, and then I mounted the Willwood stuff here. Everything fits good. It is really close to the drive shaft with the cables here, but at ride height, it's still got about 3/4 of an inch, and they're pretty stiff. We ended up bending up the little guide brackets. Ouch. The light. Those little guide brackets that you see the cable running through. We pushed those up to the floor as much as we could, and then ran the factory location on the way out. I still have to put one more mount on both sides just to hold it up into the wheel well there. But otherwise, that's completed. We think we got the wheel fitment nailed. The front is going to be about the same. The rear, we're going to have like a 1/2 inch more half inch less back spacing, so it'll sink the front end a 1/2 inch, and it'll bring the wheel out just flush with the quarter panel. So that's going to look good. I think we are ready to move on to some of the other hard stuff of this project. So that wraps up this update on the Loch Ness Coyote Swapped Foxbody. If this build is awesome to you or you have any questions, obviously comment down below. And make sure you smash the subscribe button so you guys can see this thing come together over the next couple weeks, because this is the month that we really want to get this car running. So we got a lot of work to do, but we got to get it loaded up, get it to PAB, get that paint touched up, and then we'll start doing some final assembly and working on the finer details of this build.